After finalizing my divorce from Peter, I moved in with my daughter, Jessie. For a while, things settled into a new normal, just the two of us. But about 6 months later, something unexpected happened. It was my day off, and Jessie and I were relaxing at home when my phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice sounded urgent. To my shock, Peter and his mother had suddenly shown up at my parents' house, uninvited, and let themselves in. I quickly got dressed and rushed over. When I arrived, I found them both sitting calmly on the living room sofa, waiting for me. I had no idea what this surprise visit was about. "Why are you here?" I asked, startled. "Why come to my parents' house like this without warning?" Peter didn't hesitate. "I want you to pay back the money you owe me," he said flatly. "My name is Grace. I'm 40 years old and work full-time in a corporate office. I was married to Peter for 14 years. Our daughter Jessie was born shortly after we married, and now she's in 8th grade. 4 years, we lived what I thought was a happy family life. I truly believed we were building a warm and lasting home. Peter and I met through a blind date, and I was immediately drawn to his cheerful, kind personality. He seemed to be everything I was looking for. We dated for a while, stayed in touch during our high school years, and a year after reconnecting, he proposed. I was overjoyed. We were in love, and getting married felt like the natural next step. Back then, I had a tight-knit group of friends from high school. We were always there for each other, celebrating life's milestones together. When I told them about my engagement, they were thrilled for me. They all came to the wedding and joked about being the next to walk down the aisle. And one by one, they did. Our group of girls transformed into a circle of married women, and soon, moms. When I got pregnant, the rest followed not long after. We laughed about how in sync our lives had become. It felt like we were all growing up together. Life as a wife and mother brought me a deep sense of joy, but I also found great satisfaction in my career. After college, I joined the planning and development department of a large company. The work was intense, but deeply rewarding. Every day brought new challenges and opportunities to grow. One of my mom friends, a stay-at-home mom, once teased me, "Grace, you're a total workaholic. How do you manage work and home like that? It's like you've got two bodies." According to her, I was a strong woman, but some days, I really did wish I had a second body to keep up. Thankfully, Peter and Jessie were incredibly supportive. I'll never forget how Jessie used to run up to me at the door when she was little. "Mommy, you're home," she'd say with a big hug. Just that alone could melt away a whole day's exhaustion. Peter, too, was a calming presence. After Jessie was born, he left his full-time job and took on part-time work so I could continue pursuing my career. He picked up Jessie from school, cooked dinner, and kept our home running smoothly. Coming home to a warm meal after a long day became something I deeply cherished. His cooking always comforted me. After dinner, I'd take a bath with Jessie, and we'd chat about our day. It was a small but meaningful routine, and it grounded me through the chaos of work. Thanks to their support, I threw myself into my job with even more focus and passion. My efforts paid off, I was promoted, and my responsibilities grew. I started working longer hours and often came home after Jessie was already asleep. Jessie, thankfully, was mature beyond her years. Peter, meanwhile, began working more hours at the cafe. He also developed a hobby, an obsession, really, with coffee. "I've been checking out different coffee shops," he once told me. "Picked up some beans today, got cake from a new bakery too, let's have some together later." He got serious about it, learning how to roast and brew, trying different methods. He made incredible coffee. Peter and Jessie never complained. They seemed to accept my long hours and my dedication to work. But in hindsight, I missed the signs. I didn't realize it at the time, but the foundation of our family was beginning to crack. I first began to suspect something was wrong when Jessie came to me with a hesitant look on her face. "Mom, can we talk about something?" she asked, her voice low. "Of course, what's going on?" She fidgeted a little before speaking. "Well, the other day, I went to see a movie with some friends from school, and I saw Dad." "Okay, did he say hi?" "He wasn't alone, he was with a woman. I don't know who she was, but they looked close. Not holding hands or anything, but the way they talked, the way they stood, it didn't feel normal. My heart skipped. And, Jessie continued, since last year, I've noticed Dad always on the phone before you come home. Sometimes he's smiling at his messages, or so into a call that he doesn't even notice me. I used to think he was just texting you, but after seeing him with that woman, I don't think so anymore. She looked heartbroken, too much for a girl her age to carry alone. Jessie was in middle school, old enough to understand, but still too young to be burdened by adult betrayals. I was stunned. If Peter, who always seemed to put Jessie first, was cheating, it wasn't just a betrayal of me, it was a betrayal of our family. Oh sweetheart, I'm so sorry, I said, wrapping my arms around her. I didn't realize how much this was affecting you. I've been so wrapped up in work lately. She shook her head. No, Mom, I think it's amazing how hard you work. Don't feel bad about that. Her words touched me deeply. Jessie, despite everything, was still so thoughtful, so mature. Thank you, Jessie, I said, holding back tears. I'll talk to your dad, okay, and if it turns out he's really having an affair, I think I'll divorce him. Are you okay with that? She nodded firmly. I don't want to live with someone who's lying to us. It already feels wrong just knowing. That moment opened my eyes. I had overlooked the cracks forming right under our roof. I needed to find the truth, for Jessie's sake, and my own. I hired a private investigator immediately. The findings came back quickly, and they were worse than I'd imagined. Peter was indeed having an affair. The photos left no room for doubt, but what shocked me most wasn't the betrayal, it was who he was with. Nancy. One of my closest friends since high school, a member of our mom group, someone I had trusted with everything. Nancy, who was supposed to be my friend, had been sneaking around with Peter. Her own child was still just a kindergartner, and yet she was risking her marriage and family, my family, for an affair. When I saw the photos, I froze. The betrayal hit me like a punch to the chest. I was grateful I was alone. If Jessie had seen them, the damage would have been far worse. I wasn't ready to confront Peter. Not yet. I needed to keep Jessie protected and act carefully. I took a deep breath, pulled myself together, and waited for the right time. Soon after, one of our mutual friends mentioned she had switched jobs and wanted to get the mom group together to celebrate. I saw my opportunity. Why don't we all meet up again? I suggested casually. Nancy wouldn't suspect anything if the invitation came from someone else. The get-together was scheduled for 3 weeks later. In the meantime, I moved quickly. I contacted a lawyer and began preparing for divorce. I told Jessie, gently, what I had confirmed. We started spending our days off looking at new apartments together, just the two of us. And then, finally, the day came, the day I would confront Nancy face to face. Most people are working these days, so I suppose it's good that things are changing, Nancy said with a faint smile. I'm just a housewife, so my days all feel the same, just the usual routine. Well, that's because you don't have to work, Nancy. Your husband takes care of everything for you, one of our friends replied casually. Nancy shrugged, her expression turning wistful. I appreciate him, I really do, but sometimes I feel restless, like I'm stuck in a loop I can't break out of. I had been waiting for the right moment, and now it had arrived. Is that why you've been sleeping with other people's husbands? I asked, my voice calm but direct. The table went silent. My friends froze. Nancy's face turned ashen. Grace, one of the others said, trying to ease the tension. What are you talking about? Nancy didn't answer. She just sat there, mouth slightly open, eyes darting around. She's been having an affair with my husband, I said, with Peter. No way, someone gasped. That can't be true. Nancy would never. They rushed to defend her, and Nancy seized the opportunity. Grace, that's absurd, she said, feigning indignation. You must be confusing me with someone else. I expected her denial, so I reached into my bag and laid the photographs on the table, undeniable proof. Gasps followed. One friend whispered, Nancy, why? Nancy stared at the photos, stunned, her hand flying to her mouth. She hadn't thought I had actual evidence. The shock had paralyzed her. I was in disbelief, too, I said, steadying my voice. Why my husband, Nancy? There was no escape now. Her shoulders slumped. I'm sorry, she said quietly, tears forming. I never meant for it to happen. I bumped into Peter at the cafe where he works. I didn't even know he worked there. But after that, I kept going back. My husband stopped paying attention to me years ago, and I guess I was lonely. Her voice cracked as the tears finally fell, but despite her reasons, nothing could justify betraying a friend. I stayed composed. I'm sorry to bring this up like this, but Nancy, I've already sent a certified letter to your house. I'll be pursuing alimony. Maybe your husband has seen it by now. She looked horrified. Grace, how could you do something so cruel? What's cruel is sleeping with your friend's husband while being married and having a child. Actions have consequences. Nancy, it's time you took responsibility. She bowed her head in silence. We trusted you, another friend added quietly. I don't think we can anymore. With that, we all stood and walked out of the restaurant, leaving Nancy behind. But I wasn't finished yet. Now, it was Peter's turn. When I got home, he was already by the door, panicked. Grace, Nancy just called me. How could you tell everyone? You mean about your affair? I asked coldly. You didn't have to humiliate her like that. She has a family too. The irony was almost laughable. These people always think the real crime is getting caught, not what they did. Don't twist this, I said. You lied, you cheated, so now, I'm divorcing you. I'll be seeking full custody, alimony, and child support. Peter was speechless. I had proof, he knew it, and after I hired a strong lawyer and made it clear I wasn't bluffing, he reluctantly agreed to the terms. That's how I ended it, with both of them. No more secrets, no more lies. Just the truth, and a new beginning. After selling the house, Jesse and I moved into a cozy new apartment, just the two of us. I filed for alimony from both Peter and Nancy, and received $30,000 from each of them. On top of that, Peter was ordered to pay monthly child support. Once the divorce was finalized, life slowly began to settle. The aftermath of everything left me shaken. Of course, the betrayal, the legal battles, it all took a toll. But time passed, and little by little, the wounds began to close. Then, about 6 months later, something unexpected happened. I was enjoying a quiet day off with Jessie when I got a sudden call from my mother. Her voice was trembling. She told me that Peter, along with his mother, had barged into my parents' home uninvited. My dad had stepped out for errands, so she was alone when they showed up. Alarmed, I grabbed my things and rushed over. When I arrived, I found them calmly sitting in the living room like they belonged there. What are you doing here? I demanded. You can't just show up at my parents' house. Peter looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. I came to collect what you owe me, he said flatly. What are you talking about? I don't owe you anything. I paid $115,000 for our wedding, he said. Since we are divorced now, that means you took the money under false pretenses. That's marriage fraud. But if you return the $115,000, I'll drop it. I stared at him in disbelief. Was he serious? His mother jumped in. You should pay him back. It's the right thing to do. It was obvious what this was really about. Peter was struggling. I knew he'd gone full-time at the cafe where he used to work part-time. But that job barely covered rent, let alone alimony and child support. I took a deep breath. Let me make this clear. We both paid for that wedding, and afterward, I shouldered more than my share of expenses. If anything, you owe me, so stop trying to rewrite history. But they wouldn't leave. They just sat there, like squatters. Then my dad came home. He stormed into the living room, clearly furious. What's going on here? Peter started to explain his ridiculous demand, but my dad cut him off. You cheated on my daughter, and now you're trying to extort her. Get the hell out of my house. Peter froze, caught off guard by the sudden intensity. Then he did something no one expected. He dropped to his knees. Grace, please, he begged, lend me some money, even $10,000. Nance's husband is demanding alimony. 2. I'm drowning. He looked genuinely desperate, but I couldn't give in. No, I said firmly, you made your choices, now live with them. Peter's mother stepped in again, her voice rising. You're partly to blame too, you should help. The tension in the room was unbearable. That's when my father said, with a calm smile, all right, I'll get the money, wait here. Dad, what are you doing? I whispered as I followed him down the hall. He grinned and opened the hallway closet. Trust me, this'll be fun. He pulled out a stack of Monopoly money, stuffed it into an envelope, and walked back into the living room. Here you go, he said, handing it over, from our generous, wealthy family to yours. Peter and his mother looked relieved, until they were out the door and opened the envelope. Minutes later, they came stomping back, furious. What the hell is this? Peter shouted, slamming his fists against the door. This is fake, Monopoly money. I didn't open the door, I just called through it. Since we are so rich, we thought we'd share some of our fortune. He lost it, kicking the door, screaming. His mother joined in, yelling threats. That's when the police arrived. Caught red-handed trying to break in, they had no choice but to surrender. The neighbors came out to watch as Peter and his mother were taken away. In the end, Peter didn't get a single cent, but he did get fined for attempted trespassing and property damage. To make things worse, a customer from the cafe witnessed the entire scene and spread the word. Peter was fired the next day. Now he's jobless, living at his parents' house, and relying on them to pay the alimony and child support he owes. As for me, I've filed a restraining order against both him and his mother. If they ever try something again, the police will be there in minutes. Peace, at last, feels like something I've truly earned.